So, I mean, bringing it back to Clinton a little bit now, the Mystic Hunt series on YouTube is excellent. So, is that nice to? I'm guessing that's your chance to be creative with the character. No one's written that for you; it's yours, isn't it? So,
yeah.
And is it to tie in with the podcast? Is it to promote the shows, or is it just you thinking, "Fuck it, let's"?
To be honest, it's just been whenever I had time to do it. But that last one we did up in York
with the Ghost Hunters,
with the Ghost Hunters, was only because they'd invited me up there, and I thought we can record some audio for my podcast, which of course, you know this from podcasting. Mm-hmm. It's it just takes tons and tons of material. If you're going to be dedicated to doing it every week, it's quite a lot. So I thought, could record them, and while I'm up there, why not film them? I mean, I thought, this might be a bit boring for anyone who hasn't seen this, but I went up there and there's a paranormal society. And they kept saying, come up and see us. And I thought, oh, God, the one thing I really don't want to happen is you go there and I see a ghost. Mm-hmm. And I suddenly go, well, I can't do the character anymore. It's all real. It's all real. I've been taking the piss out of it. And they said, there really will be some scary stuff going on. I thought, oh, God. And I thought, either I'm going to see something that's going to scare me, or they're going to do something to really scare me. But they didn't. It was just like... If you have a look in that mirror, you might keep staring at yourself. You might suddenly distort. I was like, well, yeah, if you stare in a mirror long enough, it might play a trick on you. Yeah. Supernatural, not really.
I've been on one of those ghost hunt things before, actually quite close to here, Portsdown Hill.
Yeah.
And so the stuff you were doing in the episode, like the pendulum, the human pendulum, the Ouija board, the scanner thing.
Yeah.
We actually did that as well. So I was thinking that these are real ghost hunters, and I guess they're a real society. They didn't look like actors, apart from the
No, they're absolutely real. And if you're watching, I don't mean to be nasty.
Course.
They were lovely, lovely people, and I have no doubt that they did see certain things. Yeah. What really interests me is why they're into it, and why. And I made a discovery mainly from chatting to them in the bar and getting pissed afterwards.
Yeah.
That I think I can name at least 2 or 3 of them who had deaths in the family and want to kind of, I don't know, get hold of these relatives or believe that there's something else, which I get, that's fine. I mean, I had deaths in my family, and very often before I go on stage, when I'm absolutely cacking it, and I do get very, very nervous, I often call on my relatives. I don't think it's anything sort of mad about that. So I'm not completely cut off. I don't think it's all bollocks and it all needs to have the piss taken out of it. I think there is something, but I don't know what I think about it. No idea. And the amount of people who phone my podcasts and tell me ghost stories, and I sort of go, well, that's really interesting. But I'd never really sit back and go, what do I think of that story? Do I believe it? It's a really funny place to be in,
Yeah.
I think they think it's real.
Of course. But I mean, the thing that interests me about that is they've invited you. They know it's a comic act.
Yeah.
But yeah, and actually there's one scene which really creases me up where you go on and shake the hands of the 2 sort of owners, and you go to kiss the girl, and she just shies away. And I thought it was brilliant. And considering they're not actors or anything,
no, they didn't know I was going to do that.
Oh, you just stuck it on them.
Stuck it on, tried it on.
It's great.
Yeah.
And the scanner who whispered twat, that creased me up as well.
Well, that was improvised as well. Actually,
well, it's brilliant, and it always works.
Vaughan, So, I'm really glad he did it. He was very kind to do that as a stalker.
And the ending, I won't spoil it, just in case anyone is going to go on YouTube and watch it, and you should. But the ending was very interesting, an interesting position for you. So that sort of physical comedy, how's that for you? It gets laughs, I suppose.
I suppose so, yeah. I mean, I don't really have much of an ego, really, when it comes to it. I really want to do a thing this weekend to promote on Patreon. They're doing a special offer where you can have it for, I don't know what it is, my producer told me, but it's a certain amount of time people can have it for free. And he said, will you do a video? And I was thinking of asking you guys even to bring the camera out and take me out onto the seashore and I would get all my wig on and everything, buy a pair of Speedos and do something really stupid. And to be honest, I don't really give a shit.
Good.
I think it's funny.
It is funny.
It doesn't bother me.
Get the car started.
It doesn't really bother me that, I don't...
That's brilliant for a comedian to have that. You don't want any kind of ego.
But you do meet people, and I think if you're an actor and all that sort of stuff, I mean, I don't enjoy it. I don't particularly enjoy anyone going, "Oh, who's that twat?" But I wouldn't appear on, be worried that I look ugly or something on video. That's
no. And having a bit of skin on display, it's just a bit of a laugh.
It gives a shit. I'm married. I've got kids.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm not trying to pull anyone.
So, you said about being nervous on stage, Alex, which I think a lot of comedians get. You do, don't you?
Yeah.
I've been known to suffer
Oh,
from
yeah, I get very nervous.
Yeah.
Embarrassing gig stories? Any creative heckles?
Well, first of all, the kind of nerves thing. People often tell you don't get nervous, do you? But, I mean, I really do, only because I feel a bit like, I've never really done anything else. I've just been an actor all my life. My parents were sort of fine about it, but always assumed I'd end up doing something else at some point, right? I've given up an awful lot to do this as a career. I had to sell our honeymoon. Thankfully, my wife is very understanding, because I got an advert for dry blackthorn cider at the time.
Amazing.
There's stuff I've missed about the kids growing up because I was always fighting to get money coming in. I missed various holidays and things. You could never plan anything. So this sounds like, violin. But what I mean is, since you've made sacrifices, and there's been times when money's tight, to then go on stage and be shit and not be liked, it feels like the stakes are high. You know what I mean? If you just sort of came and did it as a hobby, or you were doing amateur dramatics and you went on stage and people went, "Oh, it's very good," but it wouldn't matter. But it's an absolute, and this sounds pretentious, it's a real vocation in life. You can't play at it. If you want to be a performer, it absolutely dictates so much of what you do. And also that's probably true about most self-employed things, isn't it? You can't play at these things. So consequently, when you're on the side of the stage thinking, I've given up everything and I've driven 3 hours to get here. If I'm shit now, it just feels like there's a long way to fall,
Definitely.
So you're saying you don't get heckled?
I do get heckled, and I've got a couple of standard replies.
Nice.
I don't mind a bit of that. What I can't stand, and I was talking about jongleurs earlier. You get really good comedians who are great at crowd control. Just not my thing. I'm a bit like, I have written this. I'm an actor. I'm playing this character. I've given it a lot of thought. You don't even have the decency to stop talking while I'm doing this. And it just annoys me. Yeah. And then there might be a bit of shut the fuck up. And then I'll be very happy for some bouncers to come and chuck them out. Because it's so rude. It is
rude.
It's like, what do you think? You're not watching telly. There are live human beings a few foot away from you. And you're spoiling it for everyone else. So I can't stand that. I absolutely can't stand that. But I'll very quickly tell you this. So the worst gig, and I've told this before on various podcasts, but I did a gig down in, where is it called? It's a very posh place. My agent's at Winchester. And there's a posh school there called the King's School. Now, it's not a private school, but it's a very affluent area. It might as well be a private school. Or maybe it's a private school. Don't know. I went down there to do a PTA gig. And to cut a long story short, there's a chap there called James Gill, who's a brilliant MC. My agent was there. Mike Cox, the stand-up, he was on the bill. Some other guy. And I was headlining, and it was the first time my agent, he'd taken me on, but hadn't really seen me. And I said, look, it's about, God knows, 300 people in this massive school hall. And I said, look, I won't do any effing and jeffing tonight. And they went, I promise you it's fine. I promise you it's fine. Someone's just dropped the F-bomb out. I went, all right, you can see where this is going. And I went out there, and there's a guy who was at one of the tables who shouted, Jacko, like, can you contact Michael Jackson? So I said, I'll come to you in a minute. And
I love it.
I went into the audience, and there's a bit I always do, which is just a bit of a killer sort of thing. It's pretty grim. I'm going to drop the C-bomb in a minute, so you might have to. And I go in and I said, now, where was that fella? And people moved the tables. And he was a French guy. I said, who said that? I said, what's your name, mate? He said, Pascal. I went, yeah, someone called Dave says you're a cunt. Right. And he, I assume in France, in a French, in England, Britain, that's just knockabout. It's a bit grim,
definitely.
but it's knockabout. And he went, and I thought, he's really taken that badly. Cut long story short, he couldn't stop shouting. He was a bit pissed. His wife's getting to sit down. Faire enculer, all this French swearing.
Wow, Jesus.
And I started thinking, oh, God, that went really badly. And then he wouldn't shut up. And I tried to sort of, calm it down. And other people shouting at him. It tended to be a sort of shouting match, shut up and all this. So in the end, I just had to cut it. And 10 minutes into it, I had to say, look, I can't really compete with that. Pascal, I've apologised twice now. I don't know what else to do. I'm going to have to say goodnight. And as I got off the stage, to my horror, he stood up and started coming towards me. And your initial reaction is sort of, I'm a stand-up. This is just this is all bollocks. I've got a big blonde wig and a white suit. I mean, clearly, okay, it didn't go very well. But
leave it.
Leave it. It's all a joke, So he started coming towards me, and I thought, surely I can argue this out. And I suddenly thought, just a minute. All his contemporaries here can't get him to sit down. I'm not going to. And I turned, legged it away out the corridor where I bumped into James Gill coming out the toilet. It was comparing who went. Like, who's on the stage? No one's on the stage. Oh, he's coming. And I sprinted down this corridor. Couldn't get into any of the classrooms because the modern world, people, you had to have a code to get into classrooms. So I was going, oh, Christ. And this guy came, he got rugby tackled by my agent. I could hear him coming down.
Oh, my God.
Curiously saying, where is Father Christmas? he so didn't understand what I was doing. And then I sort of took my gear off, hid behind a sort of filing cabinet. And it was all a bit like, it was sort of horrible because he was waiting in the car park and I got walked out. And it reminded me, I hadn't had that thing since I was about 18. Sometimes you'd go out at about the age of 18 and there was always a chance it would kick off.
Oh, yeah.
And it was suddenly that sort of thing. Don't look now. He's just over there by the... Keep walking. And I thought, I was probably about 50 at the time. I thought, I don't need this.
Yeah.
And a couple of days later, I was at a football match and all I could think... I sort of laughed at the time. And I suddenly thought, I sort of PTSD. I suddenly thought, that guy was going to kill me.
Do you think?
I mean, he was 20 years younger than me. He was a massive geezer. There was people trying to stop him. I thought he would have done me some serious damage, if he got hold of me. At the time, you'd kind of go, oh, it's just a comedy gig. Actually...
Do you reckon saying, excuse my French wouldn't have helped?
This guy.
Breakout talent.
So getting back to... Sorry. Sorry, I just couldn't resist. You know how the comics' minds work. You think, how can I top this story?
Yeah.
I can't. So
No. So But that was a terrible one.
I don't think he would have taken it very well by the sounds of what you said. I don't think he would have taken anything very well. I don't think there was one thing he was going to go, do you know what?
Well, he's clearly got a problem. Yeah. It's probably nothing to do with me.
He shouldn't have been in a school.
No,
ever.
Exactly.
No. But I'm so sorry you've had this experience. So
don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
But what I was going to ask you, going back to that, what would you rather do as a comic sort of character act? Would you rather do a horrible, terrible gig,
or have the shit kicked out of you by a Frenchman?
No. I think we've come to the conclusion of that.
Would
you like
to
do a horrible, terrible gig? It's the worst gig ever, and you've got to do an hour tops or whatever for, should we say, let's say 5 figures, maybe even 6. Or would you rather do the best gig you've ever done? It's amazing. It's gone so amazing. Everyone's happy with it. It's fantastic. You felt amazing, but the money was terrible.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Money or
I see.
a good show.
Show me a bit about your character there, Alex. Although
that's a good point. That is a good point. I mean, I would hate. I've died a few times on stage, and it is the worst feeling. It is It's not great, is it? It's not great. It's not great.
I'm not dying.
No, it's not great. And you do have a problem picking yourself up a bit for the next one. But in a very anal way, I grade all my gigs. I've got it all sort of down from every gig I've done as Barry from Watford and as Clinton.
Yeah.
And I shudder when I think of some of them. There's a couple of 2 out of 10s there. So that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I really, really like money. At my time of life, I really, really want to earn some money. And me and the wife want to get some sort of camper van and go travelling, because we never, ever go anywhere. And of course, if I have a gig, she never comes. We've got a dog that needs to come with us. We've tried staying in hotels with a dog. It's a disaster. So I want for the next tour is to be able to go away with her.
But is it worth the PTSD that may ensue?
No.
Basically, what I'm saying is, do you want to do one of my gigs for no money?
No.
Cheap.
Okay.
No, I do, of course. Of course. I've got loads of really shit material to try out.
Fantastic. You're booked. September.
Okay, let me know.
Watch this space.
We normally play a little bit of a game, because we have done a few of these.
Right.
Normally I try and tell jokes and stuff like that. We're not going to do that today. Because that'll bore you to death. They're all puns and they're rubbish. So what we do is like a bit of a this or that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to give you 2 things,
Yeah.
and you're going to tell me which one you prefer.
Which one I prefer.
Which one speaks to you, and maybe elaborate, because otherwise it will just be you saying words.
Okay, but I'm talking quite a lot. This could go on forever, but go on.
That's fine. So, on stage or on screen?
On stage.
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that?
Oh, it's just so much more thrilling. As I said, I've spent a lot of my career sitting in a cold, normally getting picked up at 5 a.m, feeling all the adrenaline's going, and then at 1 p.m, you've had your lunch, you're still sat there going, God, I've got to wait around. I mean, if I was a regular in a nice long-running series, or I was in a film, I have done these things before.
Yes.
I don't want you to think I've never done them, but that might be different. But I've done an awful lot of day players, they call them.
Sure.
So I think on stage, and the adrenaline gets up, and it's exciting, and you sort of hear the audience coming on. I mean, it's terrifying, but it's exciting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Next one, Barry from Watford or Baptiste from Medium World?
To be honest, I prefer doing Barry just because it's entirely my own thing.
I love it. Can I book you as just Barry from Watford?
When I write some more material, I can't remember.
I just think you could just do it as crowd work, though. I just think you would come up with. I think you could go on with an hour. I've booked it now.
Maybe I.
But do you know what the video of you going with the it's slang, and you're with a load of young kids.
Yeah.
And they're just taking the piss out of you, half of them, and how you just stood there and did that. That must have all been on the fly.
There's one that was one of the early ones. We did this for the late edition on BBC 4 with Marcus Brigstock many, many years ago. And there's one of them that was really horrible, where we went to what's the name of that? Is it in Thurrock? What's the name of that shopping centre? Blue Water.
Yeah, Blue Water, yeah.
And there's so I sort of say, what would you do if I, it was a sort of roadman, I believe they're called. What would you do if I come up and called you a twat? Or something like that. And his girlfriend says, you beat him up, wouldn't you? And this sort of horrible bloke goes, yeah, beat you up. It's like...
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, I was an old man,
Yeah.
And you meet, I've done a lot of that over the years through the 11 o'clock show as well, this sort of vox popping type stuff. Mm-hmm. And I never cease to be disappointed in what the general public are like. Yeah. But the young people talking about slang.
It's good.
I suppose now, that's funny to think those young people, they're pretty grown up now as well. That was probably 10 or so years ago.
About 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So... No, it's interesting. The next one, you did mention. No, you just mentioned the 11 o'clock show. My next category for you was Peter Kay or Peter Serafinowicz.
Oh well, that's a very difficult one, isn't it?
Which Peter?
Yes.
You have to.
And obviously,
Peter, I prefer. Oh my God!
And it doesn't have to be necessarily the Peter, but did you prefer working on that show, Phoenix Nights, for example?
You did the Peter Serafinowicz.
The Peter Serafinowicz, I was in the whole series,
yes,
doing stuff. So I sort of preferred that, just because with Peter Kay, I've just tapped up for a couple of days here and there. But the Peter Serafinowicz show, I really, really thought was going to be a smash
I loved
hit.
it. Oh, I loved that.
It was so funny. But I think what happened was it went on BBC Two after, do you remember Vivian Vile, which was Jennifer Saunders?
Right, yeah.
And that which absolutely died on its arse. And it was hemorrhaging viewers on BBC Two. By the time we got on, half an hour later, no one was watching BBC Two at the time. And also, I think that maybe the Peter Serafinowicz thing had too many runners. Like everything, there wasn't enough money. And I think it had sort of jokes that you kind of go, yeah, I've got that now. And I think, personally, I might be wrong, a couple of sketches outstayed their welcome.
Okay.
But really only a couple of sketches. And so I was really disappointed that it didn't go any further.
I really liked it, and I think I discovered it quite late, and I thought it was so great. The Butterfield one that obviously you filmed in there. You were quite prominent in that. And it was you and the actress who plays Will's mum, wasn't it?
Yeah, Belinda Stewart Wilson.
Right.
Yeah.
I've done my research.
Paul Ball.
Will's mum. There you go.
Paul Ball had a nasty fall.
That's it. And then you start talking about he had no money and stuff, and that was the whole joke, was it? And it was really, he did the Butterfield diet. You do good voices. Can you do a Butterfield?
I can't get down low enough. I've got very high insipid
A lot of
voice.
prosthetics must be involved with that, because he looks well fat
for
a man who's not fat at all.
I mean, he is so funny, Peter Serafinowicz. I mean,
getting Shaun of the Dead as well.
Yeah, I'm so delighted to be involved with that. But I mean, Belinda's great, and she's been in my podcast.
Oh, is she?
She played something in series 3, and we are always, for whatever it is, 15 years now, we've been discussing. She looks like Princess Margaret.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
she looks like a young Princess Margaret, and her dad was the equerry to the Queen.
Really?
Belinda Stewart Wilson's dad was absolutely, in the top echelons, working with the royal family.
Wow.
And I think her mum always said to her, if you do a show about Princess Margaret, it's going to cause a lot of trouble and with the royals and all that. But Belinda's had this idea for a long time, which I would love to do one day, where I play all the various lovers of Princess Margaret, and she plays Princess Margaret, which I would love to do.
Have you sort of taken it to the fact of to TV companies and said, like, this is the idea we've got?
I think it would be for stage or something. We discussed it once at the Edinburgh Festival. Nice. But I'm so busy now, and she's probably very busy. I don't know. But I'd like to do it,
I'll watch this space. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Oh, I really hope so.
The next one, SCS or Carpet Right.
SCS, what's that?
It's the opposite of carpet.
Sofas and carpets. And
stuff. Oh, okay.
We just threw that in. I think we wanted you to do
that. What's your favourite?
Carpet Right. Carpet Right.
It's the bank holiday weekend. If you want to do another turn at it, you can do.
Bank holiday Monday. Why on earth? Why haven't Carpet Right or any of these carpet people...
Do they ever not have a sale?
No one's ever come to me about me advertising.
It's a no-brainer. Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
It's like maybe they...
It's like that it's
just take that,
bad for their product.
Just take the clip and use it.
Yeah, and why haven't Viscount biscuits for the minty biscuit come to me? Never.
I know.
And it's unbelievable.
Well, if you're listening, someone from SCS or
any of those
things.
But
please do. And remember, if it comes from here, can I have 10% as well?
Whatever.
Yeah, because 10% is it's worth.
You can have the minty bit out of those biscuits that I don't like.
Right. Okay. Well, can we have that written down somewhere so that actually happens, please?
Yeah.
Awesome. That's us, really.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You've been absolutely amazing.
Well, thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming on.
Delighted to be asked.
No, absolutely. And please do check out your show, which is obviously starts in 2024. What dates are not sold out? Do you know they're off the top of your head, Alex?
Well, do you know what? It's selling really well. I'm amazed.
I'm
so pleased. And what I'd really love people to do is join my patreon.com/Clinton Baptiste for the podcast, because, well, first of all, it earns money, but secondly, it has so much effort goes into it every week. Yeah. And it's now, the last one was 1 hour and 12 minutes, which is ridiculous because people can have too much of that. But we do a lot of work on it,
How much is that a month? Is it like a set amount that they
money?
Pay? Yeah.
Oh.
How much is it?
No. Yeah.
I think it's a £5. It's a £5 a month.
Do you know what I mean? What's a £5 get you these days?
Well, it's nothing, is it? And it really would help me out.
Fuel. Barely 3 litres of fuel.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there are still tickets available for Roller Coaster.
Roller Coaster, please go to clintonbaptiste.com/tour.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being on here. Really appreciate it. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to my producer friend, John.
Welcome. And break a leg tonight, Alex, as well.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you have a great show tonight. And
thank you.
Again, thank you for joining us. And that's PottsCast. Thank you very much.
Cheers.